Joining me now is Nancy Doubleday, a professor in legal philosophy at McMaster University. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Sheldon.
Yes,
Pleased to be here with you.
Well, let's start here. What types of barriers do low-income individuals particularly face in gaining access to the justice system and legal system?
Oh, Sheldon, it can be so many things. It can be from the simplest requirements of filling out forms without sufficient support. So people generally don't have the skills if they're not able to hire professionals. And so immediately we come to the financial barriers, because trying to find assistance from legal aid, again, there are forms to fill in, and also people who will do pro bono legal work are not so abundant. And so in our system, there are many, many barriers.
You know, I'm trying to tackle, this interview is close to my heart. I wish we had more time to dig deeper, because I'm trying to analyze, is there truly justice for all? I mean, what are the diverse legal needs of low-income individuals and in disadvantaged communities? What does that kind of look like?
Well, as I said, the ability to fill in the forms. And so first of all, if your language is not English, if your first language is not French even, if it's from perhaps the Middle East, then right away you're up against it, because you're not even sure what people are asking you, and you're supposed to tell them about your circumstances and about your problem in writing on a form in order to get legal aid. And so it goes from the very basics of literacy right through to financial means, right through to, are you being discriminated against systematically by the system at all levels? Wow. So are you getting legal aid when perhaps you ought to be getting it? Or is someone saying, no, you're not getting it this time? Or what's going on here, you see? It's very much a systemic problem. And if you're from a disadvantaged group, if you're from a visible minority, if you're from a new immigrant family, you're up against it in many ways.
Of course, context digs into issues that span across the nation. I'm curious to know, does this change from province to province across the nation? Do some provinces get it right more than others? What does that look like potentially across Canada in some ways?
Well, again, the administration of justice is divided. We have provincial courts, we have federal courts. And so if you're charged with a criminal offense, then you're more likely to be in a standardized national level system. But if you're charged with provincial offenses, then of course it's whatever the community that you find yourself in is able to provide. So Ontario and Alberta have somewhat different approaches to some issues. And if you look at incarceration rates by groups, then we begin to see some patterns that are disturbing. Because if you're a person of color, if you're an Aboriginal person, you're likely to be in jail more often for longer, and the rates of incarceration are higher for those people in those groups. And that's not right. That's not justice. That's not justice for all.
So let me ask this last question, because I'm almost out of time.
Oh, no.
Is there truly justice for all?
No, there isn't, because I think we apportion it differently in different circumstances. And it begins right away with who's being charged. And it takes us right back to, do Black Lives Matter? And yes, they do, but we have to keep saying it.
Wow. Professor Nancy Doubleday, thank you so much for joining me. Wish I had more time with you.
I do too. Thank you.